This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Unreal. I'm looking at a story just breaking now, and I don't know why it drives me nuts, but it does. Holy Cross announced that they will be naming the wait a second. Yeah. At the University of Holy Cross in Worcester, Holy Cross College, whatever, they named the Integrated Science Complex after Anthony Fauci. So if you go to Holy Cross and you study science, you will go to class in the most prolific liar did the COVID funded the pandemic, the man who shut down the country, the man who pushed the vax on children and pregnant women, the man who made a fortune during the pandemic, just the worst scoundrel in American history. There's a building with his name on it. I just can't get over that. It drives me crazy. And it leads me to the conclusion that we live in two alternate universes. I'm not sure how we ever unify. How do you unify with people who want 15, 20, 25 million illegal aliens in your country? How do you unify with people who think the cops are the bad guys when every day you're seeing something like what happened in Chicago yesterday? A 50-year-old man set a woman on fire on the subway. He had 49 prior arrests. He was walking free. He had 10 felony arrests, including one in August. And he was walking free with a bottle full of gasoline, looking to set someone on fire, and he did. She's clinging to life right now. But you will hear the mayor, the governor of Illinois, the mayor of Chicago today talking about ICE is the bad guys. Trump's the bad guy, and we're fine. We don't need any help. And yet a guy was walking free after 49 arrests, and this poor 26-year-old woman is clinging to life. How do you unify with a party who's texting during a hearing with a convicted pedophile and then defend it and then say she shouldn't be censured and then say there was nothing wrong with that? How do you unify with a party when with a congresswoman from Florida has been arrested for stealing $5 million from FEMA? How do you unify with a party who wants fraud and waste and abuse in the government, who wants welfare fraud, people perfectly healthy, able-bodied people getting handouts and EBT cards, and when you try to clean that up, they say, "Oh, that's cruel"? How do you unify with a party who wants to continue to fund transgender clinics in South Africa. We will get to that. We will get to all of it. It is just such an insane time we're living in right now when we have one side that seems to want to preserve lawlessness, who doesn't want to clean up corruption, who doesn't want to eliminate abuse and fraud and waste, who wants to continue to waste your taxpayer, and it wants illegal aliens to continue to cause so many problems in this country. But I think we have to start, as I just rant about all of this. I got it all here in front of me. We're going to get to all of it, but we have to start with this effort by a bunch of Democrat veterans to encourage, well, let me see if I can find the right word. They want to encourage the troops, soldiers, Marines, to defy orders, to disobey their commander-in-chief, to, I don't know, commit an insurrection? Is that what you call it? Well, Donald Trump calls it seditious behavior at the highest level. And he writes, each one of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. And then he follows it up by calling for the death penalty. So you have the commander-in-chief talking about a bunch of Congress people, representatives, who are encouraging military people, encouraging enlisted people to defy the orders from their superior officers, to defy orders from the president. I saw this thing yesterday. It's got a lot of play. Everybody, most people probably already seen it. I said, what's the genesis? Where does this come from? So someone had a meeting in DC, in the Capitol. Just a bunch of veterans got together and said, you know what? We should put out a video trying to tell people in the military, enlisted people, that they don't have to follow orders. Now they stipulate they have to be illegal orders, but so you're on a ship in the Caribbean and they say, stop that drug boat. What are you going to do then? Call a lawyer? Break out a law book? The troops in real time can't determine whether an order is legal or illegal. And what are they going to do if they say, you know what? I think blowing up that drug boat, it's not legal. I'm not doing it. Then what? What are you going to do about it, lady? This is Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan. She is the one who put this together. She's a veteran. I believe she's a veteran. She's the veteran of the CIA, which is even worse. We'll get to that. But this is insane what they're doing. This wasn't just an interview sitting down with CNN where Democrats says, you know, if those orders are illegal, maybe they shouldn't follow them. This was put together. This was a script written. And they make it clear that they are not only encouraging them to defy orders, they say you must defy the orders of your commanding officer. So they're asking for mutiny among the troops. I heard many veterans. I heard Robert O'Neill on last night with Rob Schmidt saying, you don't know, you can't determine when you're on the front lines, when you're in the cloud of war, the fog of war. Oh, I'm not sure that's legal, sir. I'm not going to do it. They are putting service members, troops, in an impossible situation. And you know one thing: if somebody enlisted person today in the Navy, in the Caribbean, outside off the coast of Venezuela, decides I'm not going to follow that order, and then they get court-martialed, where do you think this woman will be? She'll be standing right with him. They won't even know his name. They won't give a damn. They just want to create chaos in the ranks. You know why? Because they hate the fact that the military supports this president. They hate the fact that he's changed the culture, that the recruitment numbers are off the charts, that the people in the military, for the most part, love Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, that they feel so good about their mission, their role. They didn't feel that way a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when they had Joe Biden and Kamala Harris at the top. But here's the video. You may have already seen it, but you should see it again. It is remarkable that they put this together and posted it and then said, yeah, we're not going to be specific because we all have the same question. What are they talking about? What issue, what order, what exactly are they referred to? And they will not answer. They just want to float it out there, create doubt in the minds of the troops. Trump's right. This is seditious behavior. I'm not sure they should be executed, as the president's suggesting, but he might have been a little upset at this, a little angry, kind of going off and saying this should be punishable by death. I won't go there today, but it is just inexcusable that they thought this was appropriate at this time. Check this out.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
Who take risks each day
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens.
like us. You all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad.
But from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
And that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
In the Army,
Our Navy,
The Air Force.
Your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution,
And who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Incredible. That's a CIA officer, former, encouraging CIA personnel to defy orders coming from the president. Now, some of these people went on, cable news and online and were asked, what in the hell are you talking about? They want it to be nebulous. They want it to be vague. But seriously, are they talking about the operation in the Caribbean? Are they talking about National Guard troops in American cities? Are they talking about some other operation? What do you mean, lady? You must defy illegal orders. So some 19-year-old private is on a ship or is in the Middle East, and he's supposed to say, "Oh, we need you to man that post." Well, I don't know. Is that legal? These people are so despicable. Consider this. They're all Democrats, obviously. How many of them spoke up when Joe Biden kicked 10,000 people out of the military for not taking an experimental vaccine? How many of them? How many of them said a word when Mark Milley tipped off the Chinese that he would let them know if Donald Trump initiated an action against them? How many of them cared that in the military they had a purge of white supremacist extremists? That means white guys with tattoos under Joe Biden. None of them said a word when indeed they were ordered to follow illegal orders and get vaccinated. They just kicked them out. Did you have their backs, lady? Did you have their backs, Mark Kelly, you absolute embarrassment? No, they didn't. And we don't even know, again, what they're talking about. Nobody does. They didn't want to get specific and say, National Guard or Army guy sent into LA shouldn't do it. They should just defy orders. Or whoever, the guy hitting the button to blow up the drug boats, he shouldn't do it. They didn't have the guts to tell you exactly what they're talking about. They just wanted to float it out there, put it in your mind that Trump is giving them illegal orders. You know what? When Trump gives an order, when Hegseth gives an order with anybody in the military, any officer, there's lawyers in the room. This thing is being vetted, scrutinized before they actually go through with it. Of course they are. There were lawyers on the front lines in Iraq during the Iraq War determining what's legal and not legal to us. They know what they're doing here is not, even if it's not seditious, is absolutely despicable, and they don't care. Get that Jason Crow interview. He's the only guy with any credibility in the military, the Democrat from Colorado, and he goes on and does an interview on Fox. And here's the only question anybody has: what in the hell are you talking about? And they don't have the guts to answer the question. They can't tell you. What do you mean? What is it you want them to do? Can't you just say, we don't want National Guard troops in American cities? We don't want to blow up drug boats. We don't want to. What is it you don't want the troops to do? Here he is stammering and stumbling through this one simple question. Go ahead.
Martha, we're standing by our troops, our service members who are often put in very difficult positions, and Donald Trump has put them in very difficult positions and has alluded to putting them in even more difficult positions in the months and years ahead. So we are reminding folks about what the Uniform Code of Military Justice says, what the Constitution says, what the law of war says. This is really no different than what I did with my infantry platoon in advance of deploying to Iraq in 2003. I trained these young soldiers on their obligation to comply with the law of war, to comply with the Constitution, and what is a lawful versus a unlawful order.
Go ahead. Can we keep going? Keep it going. She just keeps asking. So you can get the whole clip. She just keeps asking, what are you talking about? How about the withdrawal from Afghanistan? When Joe Biden got 13 service members blown up, killed at Abbey Gate, should they have defied that order to leave themselves vulnerable outside the airport? What about the order a couple days later when they shot a drone and killed 10 innocent people, including 7 children? Should they defy that order? What did you have to say about that, Jason Crow? Mark Kelly, Alyssa Slotkin? It is incredible that it doesn't matter. They don't care about the troops. They just sit in a room and say, what can we do today to hurt Trump, to stop Trump, to make Trump look bad? One day it's, the Epstein files. The next day it's, illegal orders from the military. That is not going to age well. That they don't understand that that they got their supporters, their fans. They don't have the military on their side. They don't. The military loves, for the most part, the Trump team. They like Hegseth. They like the chairman of the joint. They like Raising Cane. The morale is night and day from the way it was under Joe Biden, who again got 13 of their comrades blown up so we could have a photo up on 9/11. That guy, maybe that's the order they should have defied. But if they did, you know what Jason Crow or Alyssa Slotkin would have said if they defied Joe Biden on the withdrawal from Afghanistan? They would have said treason, sedition, locked them up, kicked them out. They don't care about the military. They just like every other Democrat. They care about hurting Trump, stopping Trump. That's all this is about. That's all that matters. And maybe they said this is a good way to distract everybody because we're not having a good week. It's hard to imagine a worse week for Democrats. It's hard to believe that 2 weeks ago they won some big elections. They won New York and New Jersey and Virginia. Today, they look like a criminal enterprise. Just yesterday, let's talk about what went down yesterday. You had a congresswoman from Florida named Sheila Cherfilus McCormick. I never heard of her. She comes from Fort Lauderdale. She was arrested for stealing $5 million, not from the bank, not from FEMA. What do we hear when Trump called out FEMA and their poor effort in North Carolina? Oh, Trump's attacking FEMA, the heroes of FEMA who's out there to protect vulnerable Americans. This woman was robbing FEMA to pay for, among other things, her campaign. I never even heard of this lady. I don't know why she's not more high profile. She's not in the squad. She's a good Democrat, but she's arrested along with her brother for stealing from FEMA. And then you had the new face of the Democrat Party, Stacey Plaskett. There's a lot of Democrats who are going to get caught up in the Epstein files, which hopefully we'll see in full, limited redactions in the coming days. Again, I can't even imagine if this were a Republican. I know what would happen. He would be censured. He'd be kicked off committees. He'd probably be kicked out of Congress. What she did is worse than anything George Santos did. And Republicans voted with Democrats to kick George Santos out of Congress. Texting in real time with a pedophile, a convicted pedophile, a guy she knew better than anyone. She knew what kind of scoundrel Epstein was. And yet she had such a close relationship that he was coaching her, instructing her while she was conducting a hearing, while she was questioning a witness. She was one of the managers of impeachment for Donald Trump, one of the leading voices to impeach Trump. And she's texting with Jeffrey Epstein during the hearing to ask him what she should ask. Who is this person? When we talked about this yesterday, I was like, what is the defense? How do you defend this? Oh, she was just talking to a constituent. No, she was talking to a convicted pedophile, one of the worst sex traffickers we've ever seen, a guy who is pure evil. At this point, she knew everything about the guy. She knew what he was up to, what he did, what happened on that island, what happened in Palm Beach. She knew all this and didn't care. This is the best example ever of how the Democrats they have put morality and ethics aside. Nothing is off limits if it leads to hurting Trump, stopping Trump, impeaching Trump. She went on CNN to explain herself. This is remarkable to me that she doesn't have any shame, no regrets, just I did what I had to do. He's a constituent and he was helping me. What was he helping you do? Impeach Trump. This is such a perfect example of where we are in this country right now. One side cares about nothing except stopping the president of the United States. Here she is on CNN yesterday.
Believe that Jeffrey Epstein had information and I was going to get information to get at the truth. Having a friendship with him is not something that I would deem to have. And so I'm just looking forward. I'm moving forward. And I think that that's what we as American people should do, is move forward. If individuals are not involved in illegal activity, extending his criminal enterprise or his financial enterprise or all of those things, I think that we need to look at what people are doing moving forward.
Wait, let me just better understand that. What is that point? Because at the time he was a known sex offender and it had been detailed all the sexual abuse.
There are a lot of people who have done a lot of crimes. And as a prosecutor, you get information from people where you can.
Sure, get information where you can, including from one of the worst a registered sex offender. Amazing. I mean, maybe I'm expecting too much, but this is going to blow up on Democrats like nothing we've ever seen before, because as Trump said, Jeffrey Epstein was a Democrat. 89% of Jeffrey Epstein's donations went to Democrats. He's already swept up a few. It's on record that he hated Trump. Trump hated him. It's on record that Trump kicked him out of the club, that he knew what he was all about. When Trump had a relationship with Epstein, it was before he was busted. The Democrats, they cozied up to Epstein after he was convicted, after he registered as a sex offender. When Hakeem Jeffries was soliciting donations, it was after he was convicted. When Katie Couric and George Stephanopoulos went to his house for dinner, it was after we knew he was a convicted sex offender. We knew he was evil. We knew that. And they didn't care. He was rich. He was powerful. He had an island full of young sex slaves. They didn't care. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. I know Trump's name is in the files many times, but so far we know Trump didn't go to the island. Trump didn't get a massage. Trump kicked him out. He hated Trump. Trump hated him. And they think that's gonna end Trump's administration.
They also suspect Trump's the one that turned him in.
Yeah, he may have been the one who fingered him, who turned him in, who ratted him out. And Kara Swisher says this is the end of Trump's presidency. Again, they're blinded by rage. They're blinded by a seething hatred for the man, and they aren't thinking straight. Get me Larry Summers. Here is Larry Summers, Democrat darling in the Obama administration, the Clinton administration, the head of the Treasury, the president of Harvard. He's now a professor at Harvard, and Harvard has started an investigation. By the way, Harvard is in this up to their eyeballs. Do you know Jeffrey Epstein had an office at Harvard? He wasn't a graduate. He wasn't on the faculty, but they gave him an office because he gave them so much money, and he loved that because he loved to schmooze with the powerful, the rich, the well-connected, and where better to do that than Harvard? He was part of the Harvard culture. Jeffrey Epstein roaming the halls, hanging out with people like Larry Summers, who, by the way, solicited dating advice. Larry Summers is an old pervert who was married, asking Jeffrey Epstein dating advice. Here he is with his classroom yesterday announcing that he is stepping down, announcing, by the way, that he's apologizing, expressing regret and shame for what is about to happen. He knows it's all over for him. Again, it's over for him. It's over for Bill Clinton and Reid Hoffman and Bill Gates. They're all going down unless they succeed in killing this thing in the next 30 days. It's over for sleazebags like Larry Summers. Here he is talking to his class yesterday.
Some of you will have seen my statement of regret, expressing my shame with respect to what I did in communication with Mr. Epstein, and that I've said that I'm going to step back on public activities for a time, but I think it's very important to fulfill my teaching obligations. And so, with your permission, we're going to go forward and talk about the material in the class.
You know what's amazing about that? You see about 4 or 5 students. They're white. They don't let white people in Harvard anymore. There's a normal kid with a Harvard sweatshirt on, and they're attending a class by a man who probably committed crimes on Epstein Island, on Epstein's plane, in Epstein's mansion, and somehow thought he was powerful enough to get away with it. And he did. For many years, he got away with it. They all did. And they're all going down, and we can thank the Democrats for that. This is just going to explode in their faces, and it's going to be glorious. And and of course, Jasmine Crockett is in the middle of it, as usual, as we showed you yesterday. She went to the House floor and accused Republicans of taking money from Jeffrey Epstein. She named names, Mitt Romney, Palin and McCain and Lee Zeldin, of taking money from Jeffrey Epstein, which they did. But it was the wrong Jeffrey Epstein. It was a doctor, Jeffrey Epstein, by the way, who gave a donation to Lee Zeldin after the pedophile was dead. It's on the list. We got dates of when they made their donations. He made his donation after Epstein died in police custody in New York City. But Jazzy is so dumb, and her staff is so dumb, they didn't figure that out. And she defends it because she did say, I guess in her defense, she did say they took donations from a Jeffrey Epstein. So maybe she thinks she was covering her ass, but she goes out and explains it and says, we didn't have enough time. Yeah, we slandered the guy, we slandered the congressman, but time was tight. We had to get it out there. Here she is in one of the most amazing videos you've ever seen. It's like 5 minutes long, but we'll play a minute or two of Jasmine Crockett, a sitting congresswoman, one of the big stars in the party, explaining how she got the wrong Jeffrey Epstein when she went to the House floor to defame a bunch of Republicans. Go ahead.
You mentioned Lee Zeldin there. He's now a cabinet secretary. He responded and said it was actually Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a doctor that doesn't have any relation to the convicted sex trafficker. Unfortunate for that doctor, but that is who donated to a prior campaign of his. Do you want to correct the record on the people that?
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein. Just so that people understand, when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to spring this on us in real time, I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen, because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled, and that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein. So at least I wasn't trying to mislead people. Now, have I dug in to find out who this doctor is? I have not. So I will trust and take what he says, is that it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein, but I was not attempting to mislead anybody. I literally had maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
Yeah, but people might see that and say, well, you're trying to make it sound like he took money from
I did not know.
A registered sex offender.
No, but I literally did not know. When you search FEC files, and that's what I had my team to do, I texted them and I said, listen, we're going up. They are saying that she took donations.
Right, but someone might say, well, your team should have done the homework to make sure it wasn't the convicted sex trafficker.
Within 20 minutes, you could not find that out, not from just doing a quick search on FEC. So number one, I made sure that I was clear that it was a Jeffrey Epstein, but I never said that it was specifically that Jeffrey Epstein, because I knew that we would need more time to really dig in.
Never, ever apologize. That's her motto. That's their motto. Never apologize. No shame, no regret, nothing. From Stacey Plaskett, from Hakeem Jeffries, from Jamie Raskin, and not from this moron who actually says Lee Zeldin admitted he took money from Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, he did, stupid. He admitted he took a donation from Dr. Jeffrey Epstein after pedophile Jeffrey Epstein was dead. And she doesn't regret it, doesn't apologize, doesn't say we screwed up, says I only had 20 minutes. Well, you found the file, and the file literally says DR before the name and has a date of the donation, which is after the pedophile was dead. God, she is the gift that never stops giving. I think Republicans in Texas have to think twice about redistricting her out of a job. We need her around. She is just such a moron and such a clown. That is incredible. She goes on CNN and doubles down when the whole world is laughing at her, and she doesn't care. Oh God, I love her. Keep her around, please, please keep her around. We can't lose Jasmine. All right, we got so much more to get to. We got to get to this story, this most disturbing story of the day, of the year in Chicago. We haven't heard from Brandon Johnson yet about the poor innocent woman set on fire on the subway, and how Donald Trump and the ICE and CBP, they're the real threat. And we're going to go over some of the numbers in Charlotte. Charlotte is a great example of what could happen, what will happen if ICE continues doing what they're doing. Life in this country will get better in so many ways if they do indeed get millions of illegal aliens out. It's happening in Charlotte, and it's a wonderful thing. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me. The Better Business Bureau is now warning us not to use tap and pay due to a new scam. It's called ghost tapping. Another way cyber criminals are trying to get to us. Phishing emails, fake text messages, data breaches, ghost tapping. That's why our friends at Webroot are offering a huge discount on their Total Protection package. With lightning-fast antivirus to identity theft protection with dark web monitoring, secure VPN. You have to have a VPN now, and unlimited cloud backup. Webroot Total Protection helps defend every part of our digital life. With up to $1 million in fraud expense reimbursement, 24/7 US-based customer service support, and new text scam detection. Now you're backed by powerful protection that's built for today's threats. Get cyber secure with 60% off Webroot Total Protection at webroot.com/Newsmax. 60% off. The biggest discount they've ever offered, but only when you go to webroot.com/Newsmax. Do not wait. Get cyber secure with Webroot Total Protection today at webroot.com/Newsmax.
And here's my favorite post of the day. Gunther Eagleman, if you don't know who he is, he's a right-wing influencer on X. And he tweets, "Our Congress is a joke. We have a woman in the House who stole $5 million from FEMA. We have a dude who begged Jeffrey Epstein for money after his conviction. We have a lady who was texting with Epstein during a congressional hearing. We have a dude in Congress pretending to be a woman. We have a jihadist lady who married her brother. We have a dude who was banging a Chinese spy. We have an alcoholic hag who is insider trading. We have a heavyset lady who punched ICE agents. We have a dude who drinks margaritas with gang members. And we have staffers having sex in a Senate chamber room." That was a while ago, but you get the picture. Congress is out of control. And I think about this every day, every minute of the day. What would have happened to this country if indeed Kamala Harris had prevailed a little over a year ago? Well, all the problems would be getting worse. The economy, the border would be open, cities would be overrun with illegals, EBT, the food stamps program would be just overrun with fraud, waste, and abuse. We'll get to that. But crime would be bad. I want to do Charlotte because right now that's the ground zero. That's the front lines in this effort to get illegal aliens, the ones Joe Biden led into the country, 15 to 20 million. The problem was worse than we ever imagined. Here's Charlotte before ICE came in to get the bad guys out and after. On the left is traffic. That's traffic. This is a shot of the roads around Charlotte, and it's jammed up, red everywhere. ICE comes in, all the traffic is gone. Traffic is a problem for a lot of people, taxpayers, people going to work. It's a problem in most major cities. It's a real big problem in Boston, where the elected Democrats focus on climate change. They don't care about traffic. They care about bike lanes and climate change. And they don't care that the people paying the freight, paying the taxes, have to sit in traffic for hours and hours and hours every week. Well, the traffic in Charlotte is gone. The worst of the worst are gone. They have rounded up 275 illegal alien criminals. And every time they go on an operation, the protesters are out there screaming, blowing whistles, hell, attacking them, assaulting them, ramming their cars. We have this widespread criminal enterprise. Let's stop ICE. Let's stop law enforcement agents from enforcing the laws written by Congress. It's insane what we're living through right here. They estimate Charlotte Charlotte has, I just looked it up, 900,000 people. There's an estimated 943,000 people in Charlotte. They estimate there are 150,000 illegal aliens. Did you know that? Democrat Joe Biden did this. He did this to an American city. He opened the gates, opened the borders, and the city was overrun. So they're getting them out. And God, are Democrats pissed? They are screaming and singing and blowing whistles and attacking ICE agents because they're trying to make their lives better. It's just a few examples. If we get these people out, most of them, many of them, get them out like that, you know what happens? home prices go down, rent goes down, insurance rates go down. Emergency rooms are no longer overrun. Class sizes come down. Life gets better in so many ways if you just let ICE do their job. And yet, millions of people are fighting and trying to stop them. Elected Democrats in all these blue cities are trying to stop federal agents from making life better in their cities. They're arresting, DHS is posting the mugshots and the rap sheets of the people they're rounding up. They are the scum of the earth, child predators, gang members, drug dealers, killers. They're getting them out, and people are pissed. They're showing videos and pictures of work sites, construction sites that are dormant because they lost so many workers. Why is that not a good thing? These are jobs Americans can do. These are jobs young people can take. Americans. They can hire Americans. There's your solution. Oh, they might have to pay them. Oh, no, not that. Democrats are encouraging this this idea that you could just hire illegal aliens, pay them less, and your business you'll make more profit. That's the Democrat position right now. Just like it was 200 years ago. We can't get rid of our slave labor. And yet they're angry. This is going to happen in so many American cities. Rents will come down, home prices, traffic will go away. How is that not a wonderful thing? How is that? Again, they're the party of lawlessness, of crime. And they're so pissed that Trump is doing what he promised to do, that Trump is doing what we voted for. They showed classrooms and teachers are posting pictures that kids aren't showing up at class. Oh, isn't that sad? One class only had 4 kids show up in Charlotte. There's supposed to be 30 kids. Those kids aren't supposed to be in the class. Taxpayers aren't supposed to be educating illegal alien children. That's not cruel. That's compassion for the American kids to make their life better. You no longer have 27 different languages in one classroom. Maybe now American kids can learn. And Democrats are fighting that tooth and nail. Hell, they're in Chicago and LA and Boston, they're doing everything in their power to stop the federal government from making life better for the people who belong here, Americans, the people who pay the taxes, the people who drive to work every day. Finally, at last, something is being done to make their life better. And Democrats are pissed. And Democrats are telling you, oh no, these are our neighbors. So these drug dealers, these child sex predators are your neighbors? Do you even listen to yourself when you defend this? Truly amazing. And here's what's going to happen today in Chicago. Someone is going to ask Brandon Johnson, do you think crime might be a problem? Have you heard about this story? It should be national news. Again, it doesn't make Trump look bad. That's the only thing that matters if you're watching CNN or MSNBC or ABC. In Chicago, a man, Lawrence Reed, went on the subway with a little bottle full of gasoline looking to set someone on fire. And he did. He set a 26-year-old white girl on fire in the subway just because he felt like it. He said, I burned the bitch, burned alive. He said, yelling out while he did it, burn alive, bitch. This man had 49 previous convictions, including 10 felonies. Democrats put him on the street. Democrat judges put him back on the street every single time. And now a 26-year-old innocent woman is in the hospital clinging to life. She tried to run. He chased her down on the platform, and nobody helped. Nobody helped. And it's a shame. It's disgusting. But again, this is the Daniel Penny phenomenon. People don't want to help. They don't want to get charged in a Democrat city for what Daniel Penny was charged with, trying to save people on the New York subway. Anyway, here's the DA talking about the incident, which should be national news. This is where we are right now. A guy who committed 50 crimes was still free to set a woman on fire. That's social justice. That's restorative justice. The guy in New York, the new mayor, doesn't believe in putting people behind bars. And apparently they don't believe it in Chicago either. Listen to this.
Perhaps people were afraid to get involved. But what we can say is, even as she was on the ground trying to put herself out and is rolling on the ground, desperately trying to put out the fire, no one came to her aid until she was able to get off the train and to the platform. And when she finally stumbled down, 2 Samaritans came and put out all the blaze that was all consuming her.
You think this poor young woman, you think her family, her parents or friends, you think they would have been upset if the National Guard were in the subway? Hell, Kathy Hochul did it in New York. If Trump sends the National Guard into Chicago, you think the innocent people who live in fear that they could be next, you think they would mind? Because Brandon Johnson will say it's like the Nazis. It's like the South, the Confederacy. What about the innocent people, the taxpayers? Do they give a damn about them? They should send the National Guard into Chicago today. Today. This should never be allowed. This is, again, we don't have to live this way. We don't have to allow career criminals to run wild, looking for the next victim, looking to set a young woman on fire. A guy that sick, that evil, was walking the streets because, as Zohran Mamdani says, he doesn't believe in prisons. He doesn't think it serves any purpose. You think it would have served a purpose if this guy were behind bars where he belongs? Just sickening. And again, this happened in Charlotte not long ago. An innocent young woman on the subway had her throat slashed, murdered, Irina Zarutska, for no reason. A guy with 14 prior convictions, a guy who belonged behind bars. That's why prisons exist, for monsters like this to be kept away so people will be safe to ride the subway. Why do we allow it? Why do we as a society say, yeah, a guy like this should be on the subway? People should live in fear. We don't have to. It's a choice, and it's an insane choice. All right, let me get to my, let's get to Joy Reid. Let's get to Joy Reid, who was a primetime host on a cable network for years. And when the topic was, trans rights or men in women's locker rooms or men in women's sports, what did Joy Reid say? Joy Reid said, they're women. Trans women are women. You're a bigot if you don't think they belong in women's locker rooms, or a bigot if you don't think they should be taking women's trophies and breaking women's records in sports. That was the refrain from everybody on MSNBC. And as I've said many times, they don't believe it. They didn't believe it. Hell, nobody really. The guy in LA, that freak who beat the hell out of his wife and now pretends to be a woman, took her name, that guy, Alexis, that was a big story a couple of weeks ago. He doesn't believe he's a woman. Nobody does. But for the most part, people are too afraid to stand up to the trans mob, to tell the truth. It's getting better, but we still have lots of people, lots of Democrats defending men in women's locker rooms, defending men in women's sports. This is the best example yet that they don't believe it. Joy Reid she was fired. She's now just another lunatic out there on the fringe doing podcasts and going on crazy rants. Well, she goes on a podcast with, I think it's her sister, another woman named Reid, and is asked about this LA story and the guy going in the women's locker rooms. And here she felt free to tell the truth. Again, this is what she thought all along. This is what they all think. They're just too afraid to say it. Check this out.
If I saw a penis in the ladies' locker room, I would freak out too. This is nothing against trans anybody. What it's saying is, if I turn around and I see a penis in front of me inside of the room, I would probably go to management and say, wait a minute, why is there a naked man in this room?
Progressive commentator and
amazing. She, for years, said that men belonged in women's locker rooms, that women who complained were the bigots. And now she could tell the truth. Now she could say what everybody believes. It's disgusting when you think about it. She didn't give a damn about the women. She didn't give a damn about the girls. When she was on MSNBC, she wasn't allowed to. She wasn't allowed to tell the truth. It really is amazing how far we've come. That comment right there 5 years ago, she would be excoriated on the left, saying, it's bigoted, it's transphobia. And now she's as radical left as anybody, but she's telling the truth. She's telling you, she's telling you what every woman feels, what everybody feels, but they're too afraid to say it. Maybe this is it. Maybe we've crossed the Rubicon and now everybody can tell the truth, which would be a wonderful thing. I mean, let's be honest. There's nobody who thinks a man belongs in the women's locker room. Nobody. But they lied to you for years. They lied to you and they didn't give a damn how many kids, how many young girls it hurt. All right. Here's I want to do before we go. Again, I go back to how I opened. What would it be like if Kamala Harris had won? The country would be a mess. The border would be open. There'd be wars raging everywhere. Inflation would be out of control. And we would still be pushing this woke insanity that we lived under for 4 years under Joe Biden, who was controlled, who was a corpse, controlled by a radical left cabal, who pushed this nonsense on the country, on the military, on kids and girls in sports and everything else. So one of the first things we did, and we talked about it every day, was the DOGE cuts, the DOGE effort. They exposed the scam, the scandal that is USAID. $40 billion a year went to pet projects around the globe, woke stuff. You remember Sesame Street and Iraq and condoms in Gaza and transgender clinics in Lesotho. That's where your tax money was going. And I think any reasonable person admits that was insane. And they ended it for the most part. They said, no more of this. No more of taking your money, taking something out of your paycheck to send to Myanmar for whatever, from transgender this or women's, it was madness that this happened. And I'll say it again. It wasn't real. 90% of the money never left Washington. They were stealing. They were stealing. And, we have to ask again, why has no one been arrested? But CNN sends this little toad, Donnie Sullivan, who's just another, left-wing hack for CNN. They send him to South Africa to show the devastation of these USAID cuts. And as I watched this, I said, is there a single taxpayer who says, that's too bad that my money's not going there anymore? It's a transgender clinic in South Africa that we were paying for, and it's closing down because they cut it out of the budget. First of all, how did this ever get in the budget? Where were the Republicans when stuff like this was funded? How did we allow this? This is, I always think like the founding fathers, the founding of this country. Yeah, someday they will confiscate money from citizens, from taxpayers, and send it to South Africa to promote transgenderism. This is not the biggest benefit from Trump winning last year, but man, it matters. This is something that had to happen. It wasn't going to happen if Kamala won, but it did happen. And CNN wants you to know the devastation that a transgender clinic in South Africa is going out of business. Check this out.
Our trans community, they come from different parts of the world.
She's showing us around what was a clinic for trans people in central Johannesburg.
Wow, it was big.
It's big. This used to be our pharmacy.
And so this has all gone away.
The clinic was funded by US aid, and it was a lifeline for more than 1,000 transgender people until it was forced to shut down after President Trump closed the aid agency earlier this year.
As soon as Trump was inaugurated, basically, as soon as he came back into office,
within like a week, he just decided that he wants nothing to do more, especially with LGBTQI plus people, and more especially his said transgender community.
Adwa is a trans woman who worked at the clinic. She's also HIV positive and depended on the clinic for care.
Oh no. So the CNN guy is walking around this big, beautiful building, which we paid for, with a guy who looks like Mike Tyson, pretending to be a woman who's HIV positive and dependent on this clinic. Can someone explain to me why an American taxpayer was ever forced to pay for that in South Africa? We can't even get our minds around just how corrupt this whole system was, and it still is, but it's amazing that they slipped this through, that American taxpayers had to fund this nonsense halfway around the world. And CNN thinks they're gonna make Trump and Doge and to be the bad guys because this guy can't get his hormone treatment anymore. Why can't South Africa pay for it? Why can't some other country? Why can't they pay for it themselves? Why? Why should this ever fall on the American taxpayer? God, we lost our minds during the Biden years with this. This is just, and CNN thinks, Trump's the bad guy. This guy can't get his popo chopped off on us anymore. And Trump's the bad guy. Keep it up, CNN. You're doing great. They should send him to all these places. Here's an idea, Donnie. Go to Iraq and find the people who were doing the Sesame Street shows for like $20 million. They probably don't exist, but that'd be a real tearjerker. You mean you can't do Sesame Street anymore because Donald Trump is mean? Let's do that, Donnie. Then go to Lesotho, wherever that is, and find out that they eliminated some gay, clinic. And boy, that'll be a heartbreaker. Go for it, Donnie. You're doing great. All right, that will do it for today. This crazy Thursday. I'm just waiting for the next Epstein bombshell to blow up on Democrats. I'm probably getting too optimistic, but I feel like when this thing drops, it is going to be devastating to Democrats. I mean, just Bill Clinton alone. This is a 2-term president. This is an icon to the left. He is going to be exposed as the worst scumbag of them all. What are they going to say then? Yeah, but Trump sent him a birthday card. It's just not going to work out for them. And I can't wait. But that will do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show. And we will do it again tomorrow.
Why wouldn't they have been released the last 4 years when President Biden was in office?
Well, that's the question every American is asking. Not every American, but so many Americans are asking. What the hell is he hiding?